Hey, did you miss me? It's been a while since my last video. You guys have probably been in the dark for all the developments we've made during that time. Also, I found that duplicating hood I was looking for earlier. Well, at least one of them. And yeah, I also moved back here. So, I've been pretty good. Wait, how long has it been since my last video anyway? Oh gosh, it's been that long? So, it's been 8 months since my last video. My original plan was to wait until we finished chapter 1 of Underswap before I actually, make another video since I wanted actual content to show off. But I guess given the amount of time, you guys are probably getting impatient. And knowing the Undertale community with the Delta and Tomorrow memes that arise because I may have gaslighted a few too many people, I guess it's probably a good idea that I actually, catch you guys up. I just found out about a month ago that I qualified for YouTube monetization, which basically means the more videos I make, the more money I earn. So I didn't even have to do a thing, and you guys are now paying my bills. Although, to keep said monetization, I need to keep you guys consistently entertained by releasing videos consistently. So I realized that Project Jumpstart is probably not going to be able to do that very frequently, but I was planning on making other videos that had nothing to do with the project anyway, so I guess I might as well work on that as well. I'm getting the impression that most of you are probably only subscribed to me because you care about Project Jumpstart, which I don't blame you. I probably would only care about it myself as well. So I figured I should give you guys a roadmap to give you an idea of what I intend on doing with my channel. Like on my previous videos, a lot has happened since the last time I gave you guys an update, but so much stuff has happened since the last time that it affects more than just Project Jumpstart, but my entire YouTube channel as a whole. At least, well, this one. The first thing to talk about is Project Jumpstart itself. Later on in this video, I intend on catching you guys up to speed regarding its current state, but for future reference, I'm going to be consistently making more of these videos that tell you what the project has been up to. Though, of course, anything like teasers or trailers or gameplay footage, I intend on posting on the official Project Jumpstart YouTube channel, which hasn't really been getting that much love, but maybe that's only because it has one video. There has been another video I intend on making for this channel that has nothing to do with Project Jumpstart. But if you're a fan of Undertale, you're gonna want to watch it. Believe me, it's big. Before you get your hopes up, no, it has nothing to do with Delta and Tomorrow. That was a joke. Also, I'm not saying anything about my actual identity or my personal life. That's none of your business. I'm getting really sick of the Sans fangirl emails. How the hell did you even get my email? That said, there is one other thing I planned on doing with this channel. There was a YouTube series I plan on making that I figured a lot of gamers in general, not just Undertale fans, would actually appreciate. The series I plan on making is called The Most Out Of, which is where I go through each and every big popular video game series, at least the ones that I care about, and I give you a rundown on how one could get the best possible experience they can from said game series. And when it comes to Undertale, I'm gonna wait a while before I get to that one, for my own sake. I've also gotten a lot of requests to make an advanced tutorial on how to use the Undertale mod tool after having made a basic and an intermediate one. So I decided I'll eventually get around to it. Eventually. I've been debating on whether or not I wanted to make any videos of me playing any games, but if I did, I'd probably make a separate channel for that, since most of you are probably not interested in watching Let's Plays. That's about everything I can tell you about this channel. It's not the only channel I have. In fact, I also have a music channel where I post all of my piano covers as well as anything I make with FL Studio, just the way Toby Fox intended, over to this channel. Of course, I've noticed it hasn't gotten nearly as much love as the other channel, so I decided to post all of the project-related tracks to this channel. Now you have to watch it. There's also the Project Jumpstart YouTube channel. This channel was made back in the early days of the dev team, but it was kind of left abandoned, so it didn't really have much to do until I came back. I was able to finally reacquire the channel, but I haven't really done much with it, though the intentions of this channel are to publish any of the trailers, teasers, gameplay footage, as well as official comics on here. The only one we have right now is a reimagining of the original Doomfanger animatic for Undertale. Oh, did I mention that was canon?
It's a freaking cat, boss, okay? It's a cat.
Why does it make that sound?
I don't know. Why do you sound like you swallowed a cheese grater?
Because I had tonsillitis as a child. You know that. You were there.
Whatever.
That said, I suppose it's time I give you an update regarding the project itself. So, let's talk about Underswap. How does Swapyrus keep something in his mouth all the time? Also, I'm not the type to smoke, so I guess a toothpick will have to suffice. Since my last video, the team has been doing a lot more expanding, and with help from a friend I actually posted a casting call club where I was able to recruit a whole bunch of artists to join the team. So making videos for the Project Jumpstart channel will actually be a lot more common now. As for the mod itself, it's actually taking a lot longer to make than I initially anticipated, but that's not really because we're really running into any issues, and more of just the fact that we've had to be very thorough in how we plan out this project, as it's meant to be the official version of Underswap, or at least the closest we're ever going to get to it. And now that TS Underswap is now a thing, I have to be careful not to make it look like we're copying them, so I'm trying to take a bit of a different approach compared to them. Don't get me wrong, we did make a lot of progress, though there's not very much of it to show off, as most of the stuff we've done has been internal work. I will say I'm really glad we made those steps, as it has now made the project in a lot better of a state, though I am a little upset that there's not really much to show off. There is one thing, however. We did implement a lot of game mechanics into the settings that I think are worth showing. First and foremost, we implemented the sprint feature into the game from Deltarune, and I know a lot of people don't like that, but if you don't want sprint, don't sprint. As for graphics, we wanted to model the project after Popcorn Prince, the original creator of Underswap, so that all the sprites are modeled after the official art that he's made on the internet. Though of course, I myself included, as well as a whole bunch of other people on the internet, also prefer the Temmie Shang art style seen in base Undertale. And I didn't really want to make more than one version of the mod, like I used to be doing when I was working on Undertale, so I had a much different approach of convincing the coders to implement a setting that you can toggle in the game. This setting is called Graphics. You can switch between the original Temmie Shang art style, or you can have the brand new Popcorn Prince art style. We also implemented a style of how you want these graphics to look. You can either keep it black and white like base Undertale, you can have the sprites tinted light pink so that it fits more of the theme of Underswap, or you can also have colored sprites, just like Bits and Pieces or the Better Graphics mod. Although the colored sprites is not as high of a priority as the others, so it may take a while before we finish those sprites. When it comes to music, we only have a singular composer for the project. He is really talented, but because he works all by himself, he's gonna be the only one working on the music. He's pretty much finished almost all of the tracks for Chapter 1 of Underswap, but there's still a few more he still needs to make, so it may take a while. But I also have another thing I want to talk about regarding the music, and that is its style. You see, the soundtrack is brilliant, don't get me wrong, but it feels like it's straying a little bit from base Undertale, which is both good and bad, because we want it to be unique, but I don't exactly want it to feel like it has nothing to do with base Undertale. I want it to still have connections to its roots. So rather than having him recreate all of the songs from scratch for fun, I decided to also make some tracks that are rips. Now, for those of you who don't know, a rip is basically where you manage to take a song that already exists and you recreate it perfectly to make it sound identical to the original song. And then you change the melody so that it sounds like something else. That is a rip. There's actually a YouTube channel on the internet known as Siva Gunner who makes rips all the time. In fact, it's not a person, but rather a whole group of people who make rips for all kinds of games, Undertale and Deltarune included. They even made some rips for Undertale Yellow. That said, the soundtrack that Ethan Wants Food is making is the official Project Jumpstart Underswap soundtrack. However, the songs I'm making are just fun little alternatives in case you want to have it sound a little bit more like regular Undertale. And of course, for the sake of getting my priorities straight, it's not a very high priority, which is why I don't have very many of them on my music channel, but it's something I figured would be fun to make when I'm, not working on the project. I originally intended for the classic soundtrack, as I like to call it, only play when you have the graphics set to the Tempe Shang art style. However, by popular demand and request, they asked me if I could make it a separate setting to toggle, so I granted their wish. When it comes to the Undertale soundtrack, it's known for being a really great soundtrack. Toby Fox was very detailed as he was able to put a lot of interconnecting motifs so that they all reference each other in both Undertale and Deltarune. That's why everyone loves the soundtrack so much, as if you won't go on YouTube, you'll see a lot of people talking about how great the soundtracks are. And I realized if I'm going to make Underswap soundtrack good, for both the official soundtrack as well as the classic one I'm making in my free time, I wanted it to still feel like it has that same feeling to Undertale, but with a little bit of a twist. And since Underswap is known for its swapping gimmick, I figured I should have all of the leitmotifs that are associated with all the characters swap in correlation to the official swaps we have in the game. I know, it's not exactly the most original of ideas, as a whole lot of other people have beat me to this idea. However, I wanted to be very precise of which motifs I swap. If you look at the internet, you'll find all kinds of fan-made Underswap soundtracks, and each one have different choices of which motifs they decide to swap. So I wanted to make sure that I am very thorough about which motifs I choose to swap, because I have to think long-term for all of the 100 tracks in the soundtrack. So, as a solution, we ended up making an entire list of all of the known leitmotifs that have been seen in the Undertale soundtrack. And we have associated every single one of those leitmotifs to either a character in the game or a major significant event. Now that that's been done, I had all of those leitmotifs swap in accordance to the character swaps seen in Canon Underswap. Each time a leitmotif is used in any of the songs of the soundtrack, we then replace it with whatever leitmotif it swaps with according to the list we made. That way, we're consistent throughout the entire soundtrack. This applies to both the official soundtrack and the classic one. I also wanted to mirror the entire layout of the Underground. However, I noticed that while it is possible to do, it would take a very long time to accomplish, as you'd have to manually edit all of the rooms so that that could be done. So instead, I found a much easier way to get it done. There's actually a mod out there known as the Undertale Mirror mod, which allows you to play base Undertale. However, the entire map of the game has been flipped. So, while it's still the same Underground, you have to get used to the fact that the layout is different from its original design, which I thought was a really nice twist to the game, because it still feels like Undertale, but it's got a little uniqueness to it. So we decided to build the mod off of that mod. Credits in the description. We also implemented a whole variety of new names to put as Easter eggs in the naming screen. I'm not going to tell you them all, you're just going to have to figure them out yourself. One thing I noticed about Canon Underswap is that the only thing officially stated regarding the swaps is the main characters of the main cast. So I thought it was going to be kind of boring if all of the monsters were still, their Undertale selves. So to compensate for it, we also have a list of all of the minor character swaps, like all of the enemies you encounter in the first chapter. Before you barbaric Undertale fans get your pitchforks and torches out there saying that we're not going completely canon to the original idea of Underswap, might I remind you, this is not an official game. This is the closest we're ever going to get to Underswap, but it has not been officially approved by the creator because the creator has been off-grid from the internet for years now. That's never going to happen. Of course, we still intend on trying to keep the closest we can to the original idea of Canon Underswap, according to the little information we have from Popcorn Prince themselves with the archived data. However, we still are going to take a couple liberties of our own. And honestly, I think it's probably for the best that it's not a completely 100% canon project. This project we're making here is not Underswap. It's Project Jumpstart Underswap. And just like TS Underswap and all of the thousands of canceled Underswap projects that exist all over GameJolt, it's just a take on the AU. Consequentially, we can do whatever we want. Cry about it. One more thing you should understand is that we want these AUs, not just Underswap, but also Underfell and Outertale, to have continuity with Underverse. Now granted, their takes on the AUs are not completely canon either. However, we figured a way where we can implement it so that this project actually references that show on multiple occasions, as well as other Undertale AU things that we wanted to canonize. Take Swap Sands, for instance. We're actually intending on making the project have the canon idea of Swap Sands, meaning he doesn't have gloves, he's got a cape, not a bandana, he's got the same color scheme as Classic Sans' hoodie, but he also doesn't exactly have the same personality as his brother Papyrus. It's not a complete personality swap. According to Canon Underswap, he still likes puns, so we figured it would be like a semi-personality swap. However, to give it continuity to Underverse, it's shown that he has gloves on his hands. So we figured later on in the game, we'll give an excuse to give him an outfit change that explains the continuity error. Going back to the Project Jumpstart channel, we're actually intending on making comics that are referencing the story of base Underswap. So that means anything we put into the mod will also appear as a comic that will appear on this channel. That's about everything I can tell you regarding the project's development. There's still a lot of work that we're going to make, and I can't wait to see where the project's going to go. But for now, it's going to take a little bit more patience. If you want to keep up to date, keep subscribed to this channel. You can take a look at my music channel. You can look at the Project Jumpstart channel when we make any comics. And you can also take a look at the Discord. We also have an official Tumblr where all 4 versions of Sans are interacting with one another. You can submit fan art to them, as well as ask them any questions that you want regarding the canon of their AUs. Before I end this video, I've got a question to ask you. Are you cold? Are you one of those Sans Undertale fans I'm definitely not capitalizing off of? Do you want fashion? Well, look no further than the official Sans Undertale hoodie. This hoodie is actually given a very intricate design on the inside that actually looks like the blue souls that you see in the game. It's also given a beautifully comfortable fluff on the inside of the hood. It even has bones on the drawstrings. Not only is this hoodie really comfortable, but it's also quite stylish. And it's pretty subtle on the outside, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a cosplay thing. You can also wear it realistically. Fun fact, if you want to sleep anywhere, this hoodie also doubles as a pillow. You can invert the inside of the hood and rest on it, and it's actually quite comfy. This is the life. Constantly swarmed by Undertale fans? Well, look no further than this nice little hack. If you want to scare away an Undertale fan, do this. Trust me, they'll understand. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this an official sponsorship? Of course not. If it was, Toby Fox would probably bury my bones in a nearby playground, so think of it as more of a recommendation. Well, I've taken enough of your time, so I hope you look forward to all the stuff we have planned going forward, and also I hope you stay tuned for that video we intend on making. Trust me, you're gonna want to watch it. You'll never look at Sans the skeleton the same way again. Or I could just be gaslighting you. With that said, I'll see you in the next video.
You want me to get rid of it? Or no?
No. A creature cunning enough to skillfully get past her invincible defenses. Would prove useful.
I don't believe you.
What?
You want a pet? Hey, here I love the green for Papyrus.